Hello everyone, in this video we will see about how to handle deadlocks. So we have multiple methods to handle deadlock. First one is prevention. So every time prevention is better than solution. So before getting into deadlock, prevent the deadlock. This is one method. Second one is avoid. If you cannot prevent it, at least take a measurement so that you can have a look of your process execution and you can keep avoiding the deadlocks. If you do both, there is very less chances of entering into deadlock situation. If not, if both are failed, then you have a method called recover. So if you enter, like the process enter into the deadlock state, then you have to recover them. So recovering the deadlock is little costlier compared to prevention and avoidance. So ignoring is like if there is a state or if there is a process which is entered into the deadlock, then you have to ignore that. So ignore the problem and prevent the deadlock never occur in the system. Used by like most Unix operating systems, which is like if you see that there is a process which has already entered into deadlock, don't think it as a deadlock, ignore it, or the operating system take a decision to terminate all the processes which is entered into deadlock and restart its execution. So these method think like there is no any deadlock situations arrived. So they will not consider deadlock as a problem. So most operating systems like Unix use this method. So invalidate one of these four necessary conditions so that you can avoid or prevent your deadlocks. So what are the four necessary conditions that we saw in previous video, which like the four conditions for deadlock? So you should invalidate any of one from these conditions. The first is mutual exclusion. So not required for shareable resources. Read-only files can take multiple shares. So that is possible. Next is hold and wait. Most guaranteed that never a process requests a resource. It does not hold any other resources. It is like if you have multiple resources in the system, if the process consider P1 is utilizing multiple resources, you are holding like the process P1, if it is holding one resources, never allocate that process with another resource. That is one invalidation method for hold and wait. Second one is non-preemption. If the process that is holding some resource requested by other resources that can be immediately allocated to it, then all the resources currently being held are released. If it is preempted, the resources is added to the list of the resources for which the process is waiting, so that the process will be requested only when it can regain its old resources as well as a new resources. Means it is like if the process is non-preemptive, then make it like if it is non-preemptive, it holds the complete resource. Like if you have a process P1 which is non-preemptive, if it is holding two resources, since it is non-preemptive, until it completes execution, the resources cannot be given to other process. It will be holded till it completes execution. So if you go for preemption method, if there is a process which is requesting for the same resources as P1 and it is preempted, the process P1 can go to ready queue by releasing the old resource to the process which is needed, and after the execution of other process, then it can take the execution or it can resume its execution, get the resources and complete its execution. Next thing is circular wait. Impose a total ordering for all the resource types and require that each process requests resource in a increasing order for enumeration. So if you make increasing order of enumeration, then there will be loss or there will be stop of your circular queue. Only to the process in the form of enumeration the resource is allocated and it avoids circular queue or circular wait. So if you ensure that any one of these four conditions is invalidated, then you can prevent the deadlock. Next method is avoidance. Avoidance is like if you cannot prevent, or it is like next method or next procedure for deadlock, means to come out of deadlock situations. For deadlock avoidance, it requires that the system has some additional or a prior information available, then you can avoid the deadlock. It is like if you know that you are about to get ill, then you can avoid it. Like based on climatic conditions, you may feel like you go to ill or you may get ill, so you can avoid it by taking some precautionary measures, like that is called avoidance. If I take simple method for avoidance is check whether the process is always in under safe state or not. So simplest and most useful model that requires for the process to declare maximum number of resources for each type is predefined. If you define like one process can utilize only 3 resources at a time, if the process is requesting for the 4th resource, then it has to release one of the resource which it is holding, so that you can think the process execution is under safer state. Next is deadlock avoidance algorithm, like dynamically examining the resource allocation states can avoid the deadlock. Next is resource allocation state is defined by number of available and allocated resources and maximum demands from the process. So by the resource allocation state and the maximum demand, you can give maximum number of resources to the process to ensure that you are under safe state or not. So to avoid the deadlock situation, the only option we left is checking the process which is under safe state for execution or safe state for resource allocation or not. So here we have a pictorial representation, safe and unsafe state. If the process is executing with the available resources under safe state, then there is no chances of occurrence of deadlock. If a process from the safe state moves to the unsafe state, there is a maximum possibility the system can go to deadlock condition. So to avoid that, we have to keep track that all the process lie in safe state. If the process go to unsafe state, get a possible mode to get it back to safer state. So how you do that? Here we have an example of 3 processes with maximum need of resources. So we'll see how the process can be kept in the safer state itself. So we have process P0, P1, P2 and the maximum need of those resources. P1 requires 10 resources to execute, P0 requires 10 resources, P1 requires 4 resources, P2 requires 9 resources. Total resources required is 23. Current need of resources. So it is like process P0 is requesting for 5, P1 is requesting for 2, P2 is requesting for 2. So totally we have 9 resources which is currently required by the process. So total number of resources available in the computer is 12, and the resources available, see already 12 resources is only given by the computer, but currently the process is already taken 5 to 2. The total of 9 resources is already given to the process which is on demand. To start the process 0, 5 resources is already allocated, that is the current need. So how you allocate all remaining 3 resources and make sure that the process is executed safely, then the remaining resources is compared with the current need of resources. Based on the need, like if the resources available is less than the current need, then allocate to the process. Once Once the process completes its execution, then remove the resource which is already allocated for that process, add to the resource which is available now, so that you can give it to the next process which is in the need of more values. So first compare the value which is available, means the resource available, with the first process under execution. 5 is less than 3 or what? If 5 is not lesser than 3, then compare with next process. 2 is less than 3. If 2 is lesser than 3, then 2 is allocated to 3. Then the resource available is 2. 3 plus 2, which is 5. So now 5 is compared with 2, the next process in the queue. 2 is less than 5, yes, 2 is less than 5. So process P2 completes its execution. The value 5 is added with 2. The currently available resources is 7. So now the 5 value, or the first process value, which is 5, is less than the resource available in the computer. So you can allocate it to that process. And the safe sequence for execution is P1, P2 and P0. This is how you can ensure that the process will execute, or the execution of process lie under safe state before going into unsafe state. So you can avoid deadlock. I hope you understood these topics. Thank you.